as we go into day three, it makes life easier for us to have all the conversations in one place instead of multiple different channels. Even though we are essentially streaming in almost every platform. JB, welcome into day three. I see a lot of new faces here.
Yes, good morning on the East Coast. Actually, good afternoon. Time is flying. It's already 12 o'clock. Good morning on the West Coast. And yeah, Paulson, it's great to be back here with you and on this journey of teaching sales and prospecting to our community.
Absolutely. So if today is your first day, please let us know. But most importantly, what I want to know is where are you checking in from? Tell us what city, what state, what region, if you're international. Tell us where you are. And one of the cool things that happen, JB and I talk about this often, is we see high levelers interacting with each other, and they do lunch meetup groups, pop-up groups, happy hours, and weekend meetups. And JB, you've been an entrepreneur for quite some time, and you've had an agency yourself in the past. I truly think doing entrepreneurship with other people so you're not alone is the smartest thing to do. Can you share your experience as an entrepreneur on networking and things like that? I know that's one of your strong suit in general.
Yeah, even on my Facebook feed, I see a handful of small group events, medium-sized events, and just, these larger scale style trade shows. And it always amazes me how many people meet each other in person after years of talking and meeting and talking and connecting online. And it really comes down to putting yourself out there and just being the first person to put your hand out and say, "Hey, nice to meet you. How are you?" Um, I've also learned over the years that networking and just being the first to engage puts you in the right rooms with the right people, with the right mindset and goals. And I think that's the most important part. How do I get around like-minded professionals that want to grow like I do, that want to interact like I do, and not having to force it? And that's where communities like HighLevel and local groups and masterminds really make a big difference.
I love that. And we're going to share some strategies on how to leverage some of those opportunities across the board. So let's set the agenda right on day three. We're going to basically teach you how to get in front of a prospect, what to say when you do get in front of a prospect afterwards. And the third thing is how to close the deals once you have built up that rapport. So, JB, if you want to share your screen and just kind of share a couple of the house notes that I think you might have had as well, where
Yeah,
people can find a trial as well as where the YouTube replays are and all of that. I think that'll help.
Yep, absolutely. So if by now you haven't had a chance to fully dive in on time, like the last 3 days that we've been in the mix with this, there are a few things that I just want to bring up to your attention. And that is our Facebook group is on fire with energy, collaborations, networking, and meeting people. These are like-minded professionals like we just spoke about. And if you search in Facebook 5-Day AI Challenge, you'll be able to jump in there and fill in that information. Now, it is exclusive to those that are in the challenge now. So if you have not yet jumped in the challenge, there's another one coming up. You'll have a chance to. The benefit that you have now with our live is that you're able to get a sneak peek of what you'll be learning when you do jump in the actual challenge. So that being said, I want to direct the attention to those that are brand new to HighLevel and what we do here and how they can get involved. So to get involved in this live experience in our groups, you can go and set up a trial. If you go on the website here, go highlevel.com 5-Day AI Challenge, you'll be able to set up a trial account. And then that trial account waiting form will get you the instructions for the next challenge. And then obviously, if you're an existing customer with us and you want to refer a family or friend to jump in, that's the best place to drive them. And then we'll go ahead and get them engaged in our community. In addition to that, we have our first agenda goal, which is to get you your first paying customer. That's the most important part of this challenge. That's where the challenge end comes into play. We're going to push you just a little bit more harder today than we did the last 2 days to now go out and about, re-engage with your network, meet new people in your surrounding area, online, anywhere in between, and say, hey, look, I want to show you what we have going on. And that will get you closer to getting your first paying customer. Now, to my independent business owners that are here, this will get you a little closer to how maybe you can evolve into helping other like-minded business owners in your industry, in your area, or outside of your industry. Just a family, a friend that maybe has a business, to help them get their business with an AI chat function that maybe you give them a beta. So there's so many great things that we have aligned and set up for you to help you grow, learn, as well as put yourself into getting that customer and growing your business. That being said, we're going to get into today's agenda. Bear with me a second here, and we'll jump right in here. Pull this up. And today's agenda is special because it is what allows you to now get to meeting new people, as well as helping them with their business. I mean, think about this. You have maybe a neighbor that owns a business, and that neighbor's struggling. They're struggling for business. They're struggling with maybe keeping customers. They aren't tech savvy. And you're having a conversation while you're out and about, or you're walking the dogs, or you're at a picnic or at a family event, and say, hey, look, I just jumped into this new venture of starting my software business, or my a new venture with growing, helping other businesses communicate with their customers. I love to tell you a little bit more about it. And they're going to probably say, what do you mean you're starting a new business, or you started a new venture? And that's the magic part, because that's curiosity. So we're going to help you build upon curiosity, so that way you can get in front of somebody that is looking for what you have. And then obviously the second thing that comes up is, what do I say once they engage, once they communicate with me? What do I do next? Because I'm new to this. We're going to help you and guide you of what you do next. And then most importantly, for them and for you, how do we close the relationship and make it into the next step of getting their product or their business connected with the AI chat widget? How do we set the right expectations so they're excited and they know what should be coming and what will be happening because of it? So I hope this lesson today finds you well and exciting, because although you may be experienced or new, there's going to be a little bit for everybody. So I want to touch on sales, prospecting, and conversations. There's 4 phases to this. And for my challengers that were in previous Missed Call Text Back with Paulson, this is probably familiar, because this is the foundation of how we talk to and about HighLevel. The story is everything. And this story starts with your personal belief on the impact and value you bring as a person, combined with the AI chat reception, the AI executive, whatever you called it. The functionality is coupled with you and the story that you're bringing to your area. And that typically sounds something like, hey, it's great to see you. I'm so excited. What have you been up to? And then they ask you, what have you been up to? And you say something like, oh my gosh, I've been hours and hours involved with a new product, a new venture, a feature that I've been spending my time building upon, and that is my AI chat reception. And they're going to say, well, what is that? And that goes with the story of, remember I used to share with you that, I would be fumbling around because I couldn't keep a staff member, or I couldn't do this because I was so busy. I finally found a way to automate and make it fast for people to get answers that they ask the same questions over and over. And they're, depending on the past conversation you had or the storyline you've shared before, they'll say, oh my God, tell me more. And then as you start getting into that, you now have their attention. It's that hook of, look, what do you got? What have you been up to? And they're really interested because of you, not really because of the cool invention or the cool product you're positioning. They're interested in you and your story. And then as you get into that phase 2, they want to start putting this all together like a puzzle piece. Like, okay, so I get it. You have a AI chat widget on your website, or it communicates and answers questions. Tell me more, right? A business person is going to want to know the numbers. They're going to want to know the benefits. And maybe you say, when I was answering questions, at 2 in the morning, at 3 in the afternoon, When I committed to, 5 hours of just being behind the computer to answer questions, I was losing out on other responsibilities. And when they start to understand the pain that you went through, they start to resonate with that pain. Oh yeah, I go through that. I understand that. And then you share with them, because of what I've included and what I've set up, I can now spend my time doing other money making activity actions. And that goes into, doing this and doing that. And then, like, how do I do that? How do I get involved with that? And then you start getting into the conditions around it and what's involved with it. What's the benefit of it? What is truly, like, what's the next step I take? If that resonates up to phase three, where you own a business or you've heard of somebody that owns a business that's struggling with wearing so many different hats, give me a one in the chat. Give me a one in the chat if you or someone you know has struggled with managing wearing different hats in their business, whether it's answering the phone, whether it's responding back to messages, emails, inquiries. I got Mario, Kevin. All right. We Juan. Yeah, this is not an isolated or one person thing. This is something that happens to business owners every day. They wake up at 5 in the morning, they're back to back meetings, they're running around, and then boom, it's what do I do now? Amazing. Thank you all for jumping in and sharing that you guys have gone through that. Mario, I agree with you. I'm right there with you, and Robert is as well. So now, as we get into that conversation and that understanding of, I feel your pain because I've been there, or I feel your pain because I've helped others that have been there, it now goes into the decision phase of what is next. What do I have to do? What and where do we incorporate this? And the decisions start with the mindset. So when you're having these conversations, it's not about, oh, I have this AI reception tool and it costs, $97 or $197 or $19.97. It's got to be around what you've experienced, what it's impacted your business or your customers, the conditions around including this in their business, the benefit they'll receive, and then helping them make the decision of what's next. If that resonates with you, type in agree in the chat. I just want to get a tonality here. I want to understand if I'm speaking to you, or if I'm understanding some of the pains that you may be having or your customers may be having. Are we on the same page?
I love that, JB. Is it okay if I add a few notes here on this?
Absolutely. I think
So so
more value with this topic here, Paulson, matters because there's so many people around the country that we have tuned in that one way doesn't apply to all.
yeah. So first things first, how many of you, it's okay. Let's be vulnerable for a second. How many of you are intimidated by sales? Give me a yes in the chat if sales is not your thing. You're just like, you know what, Paulson, I hear you, but sales is not a comfortable zone for me. If that's you, give me a yes in the chat. Let me see. There's a good amount of you that are like, yes. Ty, Marlon, Joshua. There's a few of you, more people. Charles. Okay, a ton of you are saying yes. Sales is kind of like it increases PTSD and anxiety. I get you. So let me make this whole thing easier for you all. I've taught this whole bridging system. By the way, I just made up a random name to call it the bridging system. That it's not literature. I just named it something so we can all remember. And the idea here with these phases that JB is describing is this is the chronological order in how you take the prospect through the sales journey. It's the chronological order, right? So if you violate this chronology, you will find yourself overselling or underselling, right? So what I mean by that is when you're interacting with your prospects, right? The first thing you want to do is understand what their story is. It almost doesn't matter what your story is. Like you're not wasting time talking to them for a couple of hours or anything like that and spending, it's not a let me get to meet you kind of thing. It's like I need to understand your business story of where it is right now to see if I can be a good fit. So that's the first thing is ironing out the story. So you want to ask them, hey, how are things going? What made you want to jump on a quick call with me? Help me understand your business story of this year. Like, what does 2024 look like to you? Now, the second thing is the numbers. And numbers, I often say there are two areas of numbers that you want to pay attention to. One is the volume, the other is the revenue. We want to get to the revenue conversations, but in reality, that's not the first step. Like you cannot just directly ask somebody that's in business, hey, how well are you doing? How much money did you make? What's in your bank account? Like those are not good ways to lead the conversation around numbers. So how do we get to the revenue oriented conversations? It's going to be through volume oriented conversations. So everyone type in the chat volume to revenue, volume to revenue. Because if you don't ask questions around volume, it's not going to lead you to those open-ended revenue conversations. So how do we get started with the volume-oriented questions? It's like, hey, how many products and services do you have? How many people walk in through the front door? Oh, great. 100 people walk in through the front door. And if that's the case, you've priced yourself at $1,000 a ticket. That tells me, um, $100,000 a week is a normal week for you. Now, is that where you want to be? So you see how all of a sudden I leveraged volume-oriented conversations and dialogue into understanding their revenue scenarios. Is that making sense? So that's the chronological rule. Now, if you don't get through story, you won't be able to talk about volume or numbers. And if you don't get to talk about volume or numbers, you're not gonna be able to resonate with them on phase three, which is conditions. Conditions ultimately is the market product fit. Does our AI chat system make sense for that business at these price points? Right? If we say, you know what, I'm gonna charge $250,000 for my AI chat. Will that be a good fit for a mom and pop shop? More than likely not, because the offer is way too outside of their pricing point, right, for a solution, right? So conditions is where you make sure it's a good market product fit for both sides. The fourth phase is basically the decisions. How do they make decisions, right? Do they have to talk to their wives? Do they have to talk to their dogs? Do they have to talk to their, mentors? Like, what are those expectations? And I ask them all these things way ahead because when it's time for me to close the deal, I don't want them to come up with those objections later, right? So what I do is proactively figure out a way to chronologically move the prospect in this order by asking the right questions and basically shooting down the objectives before we get to those levels. JB, back to you on, continuing on some of the ideas here that we're sharing. But this right here is the principle of sales, right? You have to understand at a macro picture level of how you're moving the prospect through the customer journey. Every conversation has these phases, whether it's on email, whether you're shaking hands at a commerce event, whether you're speaking from stage, whether you're doing a podcast, whether you're doing a webinar, whether you're doing cold outreach, it doesn't matter. Every sales cycle often go through these four phases. I wanted to share that with all of you because I know some of you had mentioned you're new to sales and you want to understand it better. And sales is like sports, right? Like you can keep shooting as many times as you can, and once you get a couple of free throws in, you'll get comfortable. But I mean, if you're not, practicing a lot on this rhythmic type of sport-oriented activity, you're typically going to have these ups and downs. But anyways, I just wanted to add those notes to all of you because that's the foundation of how we look at sales in general, whether it's AI or not, whether it's missed call text back or not. Maybe it's funnels, maybe it's websites that you're selling. Whatever it is, you have to take the clients in these types of chronological order. JB, thoughts?
Yeah, I like to ask the audience, what is the hardest part of sales for them? What for you, what's the hardest part of sales? Is it the conversation? Is it the follow-up? Is it just the outreach in itself of saying hey and kind of leading that flow? Throw it in the chat. What's the hardest part for you in sales or what you've heard maybe from someone else. We have Addie getting the appointment, conversations, putting the proof in front of them. The system's not turnkey. Outreach is the hardest. Yeah, we have a cold outreach. We have a lot of great feedback. Outreach, just making that initial contact, seems to be one of the hardest parts. The story, getting the story down, prospecting, cold email templates. So what we're going to go over here, is something that hopefully will help you build that foundation. And it starts with the introduction of the sales script. And I think that, once we start getting in front of our warm network, if you had a chance yet to do the homework and jump into your Dream 100, the warm network will allow you to have someone that is open to hearing you at the very least, and then pivoting from there. So if I were to reach out to somebody that I already know. So let's say it's somebody in my Facebook friends list, someone in my phone, someone that I've attended an event with in the past, a family, a friend of a friend. I want to start with saying something like, "Look, hey Paulson, I wanted to reconnect with you regarding business, actually, and run a few things by you. Get your thoughts on it." And again, you don't have to take this word for word. It's almost better that you say it out loud to yourself so it comes out with your personality. I noticed you have a great reputation in the community, with what you're doing, and I was hoping that I can chat with you about your business and what's new, what's happening, and just making it about them, their business. And then at that point, they're going to engage back, whether it's a phone call, a text, an email. You want to have that organic conversation like Paulson had shared. And then go for the appointment, asking, "Hey, do you have a few minutes now? When is a good time to connect? Would love to understand more about how I can maybe send people over to you." Everyone is always open to having referrals sent their way. If you love referrals, in the chat, put in referrals, type it in, referrals. I'd like to understand more about how I can send people over to you and get some feedback on a business launch I'm doing. So you're making it about them and then bringing a little bit back to you. I'm working on in the software space, in regards to real estate industry, and I know that is the industry you're in, or in the custom cake industry, or in the physical therapy industry, medical industry. Personalize it to them so that way it's more of an interest to them. Could we set up a phone call so I could share the progress and maybe get some of your feedback? And remember that, when you start to have this two-way conversation and they're engaged with you, to maintain it with a nice seesaw, a little bit about them, a little bit about you, a little bit about them, a little bit about you. Don't make it all about you, because they're going to lose interest.
So JB, what you're saying is the positioning of the offer, the brand positioning is you're basically launching like a beta, essentially.
Absolutely.
And you're going out there to the market, to your warm network, right? I think you're going to talk about Dream 100 and all that. But what you're basically saying is go out to the warm network, launch a beta with all of them in the positioning that you're launching a software company in their industry. So if you're talking to a realtor, you're launching a software company in real estate. If you're talking to custom cake, like you said, or flower shop or whatever, like you're going to basically position it as if you're launching a software company in each one of those industries. Now, the cool thing is you don't need to niche down. This applies to all local businesses until you get to a certain level. I often say the 25 client mark is like when you have to decide the bifurcation of whether you double down on one industry and be the expert there and niche down. But in the initial launch, you don't need to niche down. So with that being said, the positioning is you're launching a software company with the AI chat and you're getting them feedback at a discounted rate. And here's a cool thing I think, JB, you might elaborate a bit more on is you're positioning them as like a partner, right? Almost like as an affiliate, where in the future you're gonna invite them to whatever percentage commission, whether it's recurring. Like here at HighLevel with our affiliate program, we have 40% lifetime commission recurring, right? So similarly, what you're going to do is pick out the gems in your beta that is worth building the relationship long term. And then all of a sudden, you have 5, 6 people in your beta and you have a small mini little sales team going. on top of that. Can you help us understand the positioning a bit more and add to that?
Yeah, I think it comes down to people know, like, and trusting you. And if they know that you know enough about their business, their pain points, they're going to be more interested in what you have in the making, what you are preparing to launch. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to be part of the early stages of a new way of doing business, or a new way of helping themselves do better business. And that obviously grows and affects their bottom line in their business. So if you're a real estate agent, and you know that people are struggling in the market of getting homes sold, or people buying homes, you can position around, now is the perfect time to implement things like this, because it allows you to get ahead of the market when things do get better. And again, that's just an opinion, but people want to know, well, how could this help me do that? But you have to speak their language. And that's where the benefit of doing the research, being part of some small groups, and just, consuming it as if you were that person, or that business owner. Now, I want to get into a little bit about, that's the foundation that can work with pretty much anyone, because it activates a two-way interest. I have something that I'm putting together, that I put my heart, sweat, and tears in. I know that you put your heart, sweat, and tears into your business. Let's combine together, and I love to set up this beta for you. And then the beta over time evolves into deeper conversations. So the question becomes, John, where do I start? Do I start, cold outreaching? Do I go to a, do I go to a Facebook group and put a post? What is the best way to get started? We recommend you start with the Dream 100 concept. And the Dream 100 is, start with your inner network, people that are familiar with you, or you're familiar with them. And it starts with a few steps, creating a list, with the PDF that we sent over to you in your collateral is a good foundation, or putting them in a notebook, or in your HighLevel account as a contact, depending on your experience, as an opportunity, allows you to move them along within the software too. But just look at who's who. If you look at your phone, I got, Jay, I have Jim, I have Jane, I have Ashley, I have Frank. Frank owns a real estate business. Ashley owns a hair salon. Jim owns a chiropractic office. You know, put that down, because now that puts you in the mindset and the framework of how and what and why I'm reaching out to them, and what do I need to resonate with them about their business, and combine it with what I'm doing. And then as you start to do that, you start to prioritize who you're going to reach out to first, and who you can help the best. Not everyone is going to be the right fit for you, and you won't be the right fit for them, and that's fine. But it's also a great opportunity of just having a fruitful conversation. So when they speak or think of what you're doing, they could share with others. And that's where the referrals comes in. And then obviously, initiating that personalized outreach is so key. Being the first one to reach out is where it starts. A good friend of mine in the past shared, if it's to be, it's up to me. So if you're not the one to say, hey, how are you, then it's not going to happen. So, you have this Dream 100, or you have 50 friends, 50 potential acquaintances that you haven't spoken to in a while. You put on that list, who is the best person to reach out to first, that maybe I have a warmer relationship with, or that will remember me, or that would be excited to hear from me. And then saying, hey, how are you? What's new? And then once you get into that small talk, you're going to have to balance those conversations through phone, email, text, preferably phone, because, we love to hear each other's voices. And then you're nurturing those relationships as you go. And again, once you nurture them, that's where you earn the right to talk about what you're offering. You earn the right to share about your new venture, your new software company, your new product, your new problem that you're solving for. Now, the benefit of going this route is these people are familiar with you. You know, Reaching out to someone who doesn't know you, they may be a little skeptical of why you're reaching out to them, and who you are, and what's the catch. So that's why when you start with someone familiar with you, they're going to say, oh, long time no talk. How you been? And that, I'll give you an example. From time to time, I'll go on my LinkedIn, and I'll send some messages to old colleagues, and I'll say, hey, what's new? Or I'll congratulate them. I'll comment. I had an old friend of mine reach out to me through text this morning. Hey, John, how you been? Let's catch up. Pick a time on my calendar. Let's link up, man. Like that made me feel good. And I know because of that feeling, I made someone else feel good. So, a big part of building relationships is making each other feel good and feel welcomed. And while you're utilizing this familiarity, you're able to focus more on how you can help them than trying to sell them something. I mean, imagine if I reach out to you and I say, hey, who do we got in the chat here? We got, hey, Chris, long time no talk. I want to send you my beta and let me know what you think. Chris may be like, okay, but it may not be a priority to him. But if I tell Chris, hey, Chris, man, I saw all the great things you have going on in your business. Congrats. What's different now? And I listen, I actively listen to what he's sharing. I can now pivot and say, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Is this a problem? I've seen this. I've seen others do that. And now Chris knows that I'm interested in what he has going on. He's more open to learn, well, what do you got going on? And that's how we start to create the nurture. And what's beautiful that within HighLevel, you can put notes for these contacts and nurture them as you're going through that relationship. And as you start leveraging these existing, trust actions, that's where you start to facilitate and create those next steps. No one loves to be pitched something, but people love to buy. And selling the way you like to buy is much more easier. I had made a purchase over the weekend, and I was Googling, right? How many of us use Google or a search engine or Alexa or one of these tools to start the research? And when I was doing so, I'm looking at the website, and I can always tell like when a website's a little outdated, right? Not too much love on the website of the information is accurate. And I start going, I say, all right, I'm not going to waste my time going through these old sites. I'm just going to go to the chat. And I started asking my questions, and they started answering my questions. And that business earned my business. And then when I went to the actual location, the person made a relationship with me. And now they've earned my business for a lifetime because they took care of me, they listened to me, and they helped me make the decisions. And that's what we want to foster here and teach you here on what to do with your warm network or those that are familiar with you. So I want to pause here. When you do some shopping or you do some research, um, do you engage with any chat message bots that maybe pop up? I know they're showing up more now than ever. What is your experience when you go onto a website and a chat bot pops up, or you're in your app for a service you pay for? And you need customer service, or you have a question about a bill, or maybe you missed your flight and you need to get some new itinerary set up to catch another flight. Anyone have any great experiences using a live chat feature? Throw them in the chat there. So we have here, Robert, I use ChatGPT to start. There you go, right? Just building the foundation of what do I need to ask? If I were to go into ChatGPT and type in, I'm planning to buy a vehicle, my first time buying the vehicle, what are 15 questions to ask? And it'll spit that out. That is a helpful foundation, especially if you haven't bought a vehicle in a couple of years or it's your first vehicle. Chris goes, I've been trying to figure out how to talk to my chiropractor about this. Chiropractors are probably one of the few professions that they have different hours, and maybe they have a middle of the afternoon, that communication. You don't want to leave a message, but you want to book an appointment, or you want to at the very least be acknowledged that they're open at this time, or they're open today, or they allow this type of insurance. So, keep in mind that, human beings want answers, and they're accustomed to getting the answers in different ways. And chat is one of them. FAQs is another one. And then human interaction is another. So let's get into, with the Dream 100 list that you create, what do you need to do next? We put the time in, we practiced how we're going to approach people. We're building our confidence for the outreach. Now, like, what do we do now? What type of research should we be doing? I'm going to go over a few things that you should look at from a high level overview without going too deep in the weeds and insulting somebody of like, this is not there, that's not there, this is not good. We want to just bring to light what they may not know is obviously expected, and that could be interaction. And then we're going to, go over here on how we're going to share exploring those products, the audience, the trends, and the goals based on what you have seen on their website or their social media. And then we're going to get into tailoring the pitch to those specific needs and challenges. It's so important that, we walk on a thin line here of respect, helpfulness, and good intent, because it's very easy for someone to put their guard up, and no matter how much nurturing or trust you've built, it can be eliminated immediately. So it's so important to just be respectful at all times. Whether you realize it or not, people are paying attention to what you say and how you say it. So, let's just say, for example, we go on the chiropractor's website that was mentioned here. And on that website, we notice that they have, a little bit of an outdated site. That's fine. That's no problem. It is what it is. But we're looking to book an appointment. We want to book an appointment for our first time consultation because we're having some back pain. So, we're trained to look at maybe the top right for the phone number. We're trained to look for some sort of calendar or maybe some sort of chat feature on the bottom right. And everything but the chat feature and the FAQs are there. It's just the phone number. So we call the phone number. And when we call the phone number, they're closed. It's an answering machine. What would you do next? What would you do next? Would you leave a message? Or would you move on to the next? Throw that in the chat. Would you leave a message and wait for a call back? Or would you move on to the next person in the area to help you with your back pain? And I think, as you think of that and keep that in mind, I agree with you, Ty. I'm moving on. Davida, I'm moving on. People are moving on. There's so many options right now. People are moving on. So that's something you want to keep in mind as you're sharing and building that conversation around what is it that you need and how can I help you? And then you're looking at, are they easy to communicate? Do they have that feature? If they do, is it giving the answers and the information that's important to you? And are they losing out on potential clients because they don't have it? And we know the answer to all three. Knowing the answer to all three allows you to paint the picture and the vision of the problem, the solution, and how it'll benefit them moving forward. So, depending on your experience, I just want to put out there, you don't have to be an expert in web design or identifying code or identifying, different elements of a web presence. You just have to look at the bottom right if they have a chat widget, if that engages, and do they have some FAQs sharing what they have and what they're doing? And do they have an appointment calendar available or a callback request feature available? And if they don't, that's the opportunity to help them. Outside of you building a software business, a venture around, AI chat reception tool, we're helping people at the end of the day. Because if we don't help them, they're not going to stay with us and they're not going to refer us and they're not going to trust us. So when we do that, we're evaluating the website to see if I was a visitor that needed support, could I be engaged immediately upon jumping on that website? And then if so, how could we make it better? If not, what is the plan to add that option or at least paint that picture of being a good option to add on? And then obviously you can tell a lot by a business's website, where you can see how proactive they are with helping their potential customers or existing customers. So typically there's an FAQ section. What does that look like? Because now when I reach out to this person on my Dream 100, I'm asking, hey, have you had a chance to make those updates? I saw this, I saw that. Have you thought of this? Because when you're around like-minded people, business owners, business professionals, they love feedback. They love constructive feedback. How can you make me better? How can I get more customers? How can I make people feel more confident in what I do? And that's truly the bread and butter of getting yourself out there. You know, a lot of people get so caught up in I got to do paid ads. I got to do cold outreach. I got to get a coach. The list goes on and on and on forever. It'll never be perfect. It'll never be exactly what it needs to be. But as long as you're moving forward in mind, if I have great people around me, I'm in the right place and doing the right thing. If I'm helping them and giving value, I'm doing the right thing by the right people. And if I'm always staying sharp and learning and growing with my craft, with my product, with the ongoing trends, I will be able to help others be better and get more referrals and grow my business. That's important for business people that want to establish a bigger footprint. If you agree with me, throw in the chat agree. I just want to make sure that I'm speaking to you all because as I'm getting my feet in the ground, you're my customer. If we're not seeing eye to eye, you're not going to tune into me. And that's what's so important here is understanding that. And that's why we've built all of this to make sure it resonates with you as a service provider or a business owner. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Let's continue on here. Paulson, did you want to jump? Paulson has a wealth of experience. And I learn from Paulson every day in our internal teams. Paulson, was there anything maybe you wanted to include or jump in on while we're just trying to give a little break on these slides? What
Yeah,
really matters is that authenticity for people.
yeah.
Like, what do you got?
Yeah, I love everything you're sharing. And I think over time, people will create their own momentum, their own rhythm of how they go about it. So I think the key thing here with the Dream 100 is to get started, right? You're not going to have the perfect list. Some of you may be wondering, hey, Paulson, like I'm starting out. I barely know three people that are in business. What do I do? So don't feel intimidated if you feel like you don't have a big network of people. But here's what I think everybody should take away from JB's conversation. There is a difference between a warm network, a hot network, and a cold network. In this in this game, in the grand scheme of things, we want you to initially just focus on the warm network. If you go down the route of building a cold machine for cold emailing, cold calling, and all of that, you are more than likely going to have a lot of difficulty setting that up. So go with the warm network, get a couple of clients in the door, get the momentum. They're in beta anyway. Once you build up case studies, then you can add paid ads. Then you can add other things that are attached to it. That's pretty much what I would add as notes on top of what you're kind of sharing, JB.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. I think, right now we have the audience has the privilege of hearing two different voices with two different levels of experience. But what's in common here is the passion and the energy that of helping others. Helping others is so important. There is somebody with a bigger and better product business than you out there, but the relationship is what allows you to hold it for the lifetime. So that being said, I want to go ahead and start getting into the action. um, you know the action is what matters, and again, everyone's at a different sales capacity, ability, thought process. These are foundational items, and you can build upon it, and it'll allow us to continue the conversation. So at the end of the day, there's three things that we want to focus on here. We want to personalize our outreach. We don't want to blast, copy, paste. We want to make them feel that we genuinely care and know that we're reaching out to them with a purpose. Always keep relationship building in the forefront, whether it means you got to talk to them 3 or 4 times for them to know that you're not just here to sell something. That's fine. And then maintaining it thereafter. The worst is you get someone to engage, and then they say no, and then you disappear. Don't do that, because now may not be the time, but you don't know when the time will happen or who they know that may need your help. And then expressing interest in their goals. I mean, imagine you had a friend, that when you talked about your business, they just kind of changed the topic. You'd be like, what? Like, be excited about my business. Like, aren't you my friend? Well, keep that in mind, because if you don't express that interest and excitement, then they're not going to express that back to you, and it's a two-way street. So let's get into what we need to do first and foremost when reaching out to our Dream 100. We're going to ask open-ended questions like Paulson had shared in the bridge, right? We want to ask open-ended questions about their business to prompt a response. And it's our job to actively listen and use a part of that to drive the conversation forward. So when you actively listen to somebody talking about their business and you're mentioning parts of the what they said, they understand that you understand their needs and what they want. And that's what keeps the conversation going smooth. If they say something and then you are totally going another direction, then the topic has changed, the conversation has changed, we have nothing. Adapting to how they say it, whether it is positive or negative, is so important. You know, when you speak to someone about their business, especially someone in your warm network or you're re-engaging with, things may not be going perfect. And because they know you, they may assume you know that, or they may assume that it's okay to kind of give the real deal to you. It may not be positive. They might say, man, actually, business is not going good. It's actually going really bad. I'm thinking about closing. In your mind, as you're listening to that, how can I help? You know, what's happening, Joe? Why that I didn't expect to hear that. And let them open up because you might have caught them at the right time that now you can help them because they're not tech savvy or they haven't thought about it or they lost trust in marketing. There's so many different reasons why people just give up on products, marketing, and making their business better. And while you're doing that, you're building the trust and rapport, and that is so, so important because they know you care. Now, as you're evolving in this conversation, you're going to put them in your phone, right? I don't want you to think about, do I need to activate text messaging on my HighLevel, or, how do I make phone calls? How do I automate phone calls? This is a human training on just building relationships and relating it to your new venture and your software business, right? So you want to make sure they're in your phone, that you have some reminders and touch points to kind of keep that conversation going if they're not always top of mind. You want to make sure you're not using like professional, corporate jargon or scaring them away like, you're going to be selling them something. You just want to make sure they feel that this is authentic. And it should be authentic because here's the most exciting part out of all this, my friends. You're starting a new extension of your business or a new business from scratch. No matter where in the world you are, you're starting something fresh. This is exciting. It's yours. This is all yours. So building the foundation one step at a time matters. And as you're doing that, it's offering value and you're creating a conversation. If there's no conversation, there's nothing to be had. Now, question comes up, how do I start reaching out? What's the best thing to say? I signed up for this sales training. I just signed up for that. I downloaded this script. At the end of the day, I just want to share, script is a foundation. You have to personalize it. So, if you were to go into ChatGPT or you download a course or you buy a book, that has to be with your tonality, your intent, and your energy. So I've put a couple of examples here on what I've seen work for some and for others. But the concept here is to make sure you use their name, is to make sure you're asking how they're doing or how they've been, to letting them know that they've been on your mind. You've had the intent and interest, that you saw their post on Facebook, that you've seen all the great things that are happening, that you remember the time we spoke, that it's been a minute since we last caught up, that you remember that, you shared this and you wanted to give them, some insight of what else is new. If you read all these messages, I could pick one randomly. I'll pick this one. Hey there, Joe. It's been a minute since we last caught up. I've been working on a fascinating concept recently and I couldn't help but think of you. They're going to think, well, what does that mean? What do you got, right? It may be a short answer within 30 seconds of you texting. It may be a long answer an hour, 2 hours later. They might leave you unread for a while. That's fine because everyone's running their business and they're out and about. Don't let time discourage you. Even if you don't get a response, that is your cue to say, hey, is everything okay? Because I go back to what I shared before, they may be going through a tough time. If you know someone that's going through a tough time, type in the chat tough time. Because tough times are real and business is real. And when you combine humans, tough times, and business, there's a separation. There's a big separation because business and humans, that tough time in that middle can further and further and further away, push both away. And that could also push relationships away. If it's been a minute since you spoke with someone that you used to be close with, type in the chat, it's been a minute. I mean, think about it. Like, if you look in your phone and you see some text messages, you scroll all the way to the bottom, the last chat with somebody might have been like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago. But you always had a chat with them at some time. It's just been a minute. So re-engaging shows that you're a human, that you care, and that, believe it or not, it can make their day a whole lot better. So how does that relate with software, your new venture? You're a human being. Because if you were not needed to make this all work, well, then they would just buy it online without you. And that's why it's important to always consider the human element in contacting your warm network and building upon the friends, past acquaintances, and business relationships you had, and rekindle them and say, hey, look, let's catch up. And if they're local, go to lunch. It's worth it. If they're local, jump on a Zoom and just talk it out. Jump on the phone, but avoid just doing texting. You want to get them from the text to the phone or to a face-to-face. That's the magic. So, now that we've re-engaged with people in our list, now we have to go a little bit more in depth, because what I shared before is one part of the bridge, right? In that bridge, we talked about, obviously being top of mind, having the conversation, understanding them. But as we move along, we need to let them know what we're doing, because they shared with us what they're doing. So let's say, for example, you rekindle the conversation with somebody and now they're like, oh man, business has been great. Actually, I'm looking for new employees. We're looking to build another location. It's beyond what we can handle at the moment. And now you're saying, that's so amazing, Janet. That is so awesome. What was how did that all happen? Oh my God, I've been doing, marketing with a friend, or I've been, trying this out on my own, or I attended this Chamber of Commerce event and I've been getting so many new people that have been talking about me. Oh my goodness. I would love to be a part of that as well. Could you introduce me to them? I'm also building a business that's growing. And that's why I wanted to also reach out to see what you were doing, to see if it fits with what I'm doing and how we can help each other. Congrats. And then they're going to say to you, well, what do you got going on, John? Oh my goodness. I've been diving into a whole new venture that I got introduced to. It's amazing because it's helped me learn and build my goals of what I wanted to do. It's been a game changer. And it's been around, AI. Do you know anything about AI yet? Have you played with it? Oh my God, no, I wanted to play with it, or I haven't had a chance to, but I see it all over. My son, my daughter, this conversation starts to come organically. Now, I know in front of you is this paragraph that you may assume that you need to say verbatim, but these are talking points that you're going to wove into the conversation. And as you do that, now it becomes, oh, I see. It's the storytelling as well as just the way humans like to talk. And they're going to say, well, what is it? I called it Johnny Reception. What is that? You ever go on a website, after hours, and you need an answer to something, or you need to book an appointment, or you want this, you want that, and they're closed, and there's no way to get help, and they never send you an email back? Oh my gosh, you have no idea. Now I've put together something that will automatically give the answers, give the option to book an appointment, to basically be your AI, your reception, your extended employee that's on 24/7. oh my gosh, that's something I've been wanting. I can't find someone that wants to work 24 hours a day, 365 a year. That's exactly why I created this. That's exactly why I've been diving into it. And now you guys start to share your pain points. You guys start to share your commonality of business. Although they may be at a different level of business, you're in business. So you guys have that commonality. And then getting into now the positioning. Look, I love to give you a sneak peek of it. As a matter of fact, like, it's perfect timing because I put together a beta, and when you see my version of it, I love to customize it for you so you could see how it relates to your business. And I love for you to test it out, share your thoughts on it. I'm making it better every day, but as you know, with AI, it learns with time and information. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I saw that. And like now we start to gauge the interest in the conversation based on the excitement. Right? It's so much fun to be part of a conversation that everybody is like in it. You ever like be part of a group convo and they're like, "Oh my God, no." And everyone's like interrupting each other? That means the conversation's great. And then people are like purposely like stopping and slowing down. Oh yeah, and they raise their hand before they talk, right? That's how you know they're trying to be respectful with jumping in because they can't hold their excitement. That's what you should look for, right? Whether it's in a Zoom meeting like this, in person, or on the phone using your ears, their energy. That's so key. And now you're getting into, let me know when you got a few minutes. As a matter of fact, it literally takes a minute now. You got a minute now? Go for it. Because if the conversation's going so great and the energy's there, why not give them what they maybe have been looking for, but don't know where to look, how to look, or what to do? Perfect timing, right place, right time. If you've heard that before, right place, right time, throw it in the chat. Right place, right time. Man, I remember, going out and about, meeting someone brand new and just striking a chord with them. And they're like, oh my gosh, I was just looking for that. I was just thinking about that. And when I heard that I said to myself, right place, right time. Now it's my chance to serve and help them with what they need. That's what your responsibility is as a business owner, to serve others, help them, and give them what they need, not what you believe they want. It's what they need, and then let them fill in the gaps and the blanks of how and what version and how in depth they need it. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. It allows me to really understand our flow. In a perfect world, we'd have a Zoom of maybe 10, 15 people, but we have a whole bunch of people on here that are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and I want to make sure I'm giving you what you need to really tackle this, because in your new venture or the extension of your existing business, you need this to really push you forward. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. If it was easy, there'd just be one book, not hundreds of books on sales and marketing. So I hope that resonates with you. Paulson, we've had conversations like this very, very often, and we've seen it with new customers as well as experienced and advanced customers that have their own companies and serve hundreds of thousands of customers, and the pain is still the same at all those levels. They either lose
Yeah.
connection with their customer because they're so busy, or they over communicate with their customer and the customer gets bombarded because it doesn't resonate with them anymore for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think, people often ask us in our masterminds, in our conferences, workshops, podcasts, they often ask us, Paulson, JB, Chase, like, what are, some of the common mistakes y'all see with agency owners, marketing service providers, or even SaaSpreneurs? I personally think the biggest mistake you can make is leading with multiple offers, right? So, JB, I think you shared, I think on day one of the difference of core offer versus gateway offer versus expansion offer versus downsell offer. And if you want to pull that up, you can. But ultimately, the big picture is when do you offer what and what is the timing of that sales journey? What is the timing of that prospecting? So we're telling you, lead with the virtual receptionist, the executive assistant, that person that's online that is going to fill their traffic for them, right? That's the positioning. You're not even going to say the words AI chat widget. Like, take that out of your vocabulary. You're going to basically say, hey, can I help you field all your inquiries by having a online receptionist set up, and it's powered by AI, just so you know, but it's an online receptionist. And when you put in that positioning, it's like, well, what else can you do? And your role as a SaaSpreneur slash, an agency or marketing service provider that's starting out, your goal is to park them into the core offers from a tech standpoint to give you the most amount of usage. What are those core offers from the gateway offer? The core offers are reviews, mobile app. What else? There's one more. Let me see.
Reputation management is
Yeah.
another option.
Yeah. Well, that's reviews, right? So
I'm sorry, yeah.
reviews,
Mhm.
yeah, reviews, mobile app, and GMB profile management. Why GMB? Because every local business has organic traffic there. And then you have the live chat that you're using as like a Trojan horse. JB, do you mind sharing that screen with the graph where it kind of shows gateway offer, core offer, expansion, and downsell? Because that gives like the bigger picture of the offer itself, the pricing, and this is really the one of the biggest conversations we have in a lot of our events as well. And the question is, well, Paulson, if I'm leading with AI chat widget, or maybe missed call tech spec for those of you that are veterans that jumped into the old 5-day challenge, when do you position people into the core offer? It's during the onboarding, right? You want to set up the onboarding within 72 hours and you want to push people into your core offer. And let me ask a pop quiz. Let me have a pop quiz for all of you that I see few similar, familiar names that I've seen before. Let me do a pop quiz real quick. Are we going to charge extra for the core offer features? What is HighLevel's recommendation in how to position the core offer? Is it a yes? It's a yes or no question. Are you going to be charging extra for reviews, mobile app, and the GMB profile? Or is it yes or no? Let's see how many of y'all were listening. Let's see. A few of you are saying yes, some of you are saying no. The key answer here is no. You don't want to charge them any extra just because they're using your platform more, right? So you have to think like a software company instead of like as an agency owner because you want them to maximize the usage of the software. Your concern is not the upfront revenue like an agency, right? So pay attention to this as JB is going through sharing some of the details of how to move the customers in, right? How to position it the right. And then maybe 2 weeks later, you have a check-in call and they're like, "Hey, Paulson, like I don't have a lot of traffic on my website." No problem. I can increase the traffic by turning on Facebook ads for you. That's your expansion offer. It doesn't mean you have to offer it, but that's the way you would position it if that's a talent that you have and you feel comfortable providing Facebook or Google ads or whatever. And then let's say they cancel for whatever reason, you park them back into the downsell offer. And that's the big picture of the whole framework of this offer, right? Leading with one, then expanding when it's the right time within 72 hours, then expanding into further services. That's probably what I would add here as notes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paulson. And different different outcomes for different experiences, but the concept is to at the very least treat the customer or the potential customer that you have with what is going to drive their business further, um, with your knowledge and your experience and your AI reception feature, but also keep in mind that they're going to need more. They're going to need more, and you want them to be aware that the more that they need is exactly what we have, and we know how to put it all together to work smoothly. Because, like I mentioned before, those that are more experienced, that are maybe listening in or have done this training in some way, shape, or form within our platform, is that people are buying multiple widgets and features, and they're paying for multiple subscriptions to solve one problem that can be easily solved under one roof for one payment and be able to grow from that. And I say that because your Dream 100 is familiar with you. They're a warm network. They know someone that they may refer to you that's going to say, "Oh, you know them. I'll listen to them." So you want to make sure they know that you have the resource, but we're starting with this because this is what is best to get started now. And as we evolve, we go. So the overall goal of the Dream 100 in a nutshell here is to prioritize personalization, um, have detailed conversations, focus on those building relationships and the values, and those genuine connections will bring you business and them business organically. It's not going to be pushed or forced. It's going to be, oh my gosh, thank you for helping me. So as we go through this, we're going to evolve really quick on being introduced by our warm network. Someone in your warm network might say, oh my gosh, John, thank you for reaching out. I'm actually part of a chamber of commerce, and we're looking for someone to talk about this. I'm part of a small business group. I would love for you to come by and be my guest. I would love for you to come to my office and teach my staff or my agents or my partners of what you have going on. I know we could use this. And that's where we get into the next phase of you expanding your network, you expanding your reach. Now, I haven't yet mentioned like online, groups and emails and those types of things, because as we're building our Dream 100, these are people that are familiar with us and they're human beings locally or maybe nearby. We want to leverage that person to person because people are striving. They're looking for that. They want that trust factor. So I want to share with you, expanding your reach is by networking. And if you haven't been to a networking event, type in the chat, new to networking. New to networking. I'm new to networking because what we're going to do here is we just want to get a temperature of who hasn't tried this before. And if you've networked before, type in I love networking. Right? We have a few new, we have a few I loves already. This is great. What's really nice about networking is that the people in the room are like-minded. And we spoke about this. We want to be around like-minded professionals, business owners, people that have goals and they want to expand their ventures just like you. Because the more people that know about you will talk about you. And the more people you know about, you'll talk about. So there are a handful of networking groups. Some are free, some require a membership. There's no endorsement here by HighLevel with any of these, and none of these endorse us. This is just ideas of what you can be part of if you were to Google networking throughout the country or outside of the area. So, BNI is one networking group, Latip. There's a virtual one called Happy Networking Project where they meet pretty much every day, Tuesday through Friday. And then you have meetup.com, which is another great way. And some of these groups have small groups. Some of them require registration. Some of them require a small fee. You'll have to do your due diligence, but being part of one as a guest is always a great experience. And that'll help you start meeting people, shaking hands, showcasing your smile, your energy, your enthusiasm, and the great things you have going on. As you start doing that, you're going to be exposed to this feeling of, oh my gosh, this was great. How much more can I do of this? So outside of those local networking groups, there's, industry association events. There's business networking events that are open that maybe have a small fee to it. There's trade shows, expos. There's development workshops like the SBDC. They're great across the country. They teach you how to start a business, manage a business. Your local university or college might have an alumni event or just some sort of public business event or guest speaker. Whether it's a guest speaker, a mix and mingle, a business card exchange, there's so many different ways to describe these types of meetings. Just show up and smile and listen and learn and talk and share. It's so important. When you get your chance to shake a hand, you'd be surprised how far that goes. Now, the question that comes up here and that's been coming up here now is, well, how do I find these? I'm new to it. I'm new to marketing. When you jump on Google and you're typing phrases like business networking events, professional meetups, networking near me, you include your city, your region, your village, your state. They're going to give you a smaller distance of an area that you can go to, more localized. Those are the ones you want to go to. Go to the ones that are hyper local, so that way you could then expand out invite your warm network. Maybe your warm network's part of one, and expand out into maybe some larger events or some that are a little further away. And these instructions, if you want to take a screenshot of that or a photo, you're more than welcome. But this is the way to really authentically meet people, and share and learn what's out there. And there's tons of events by industry alone. And that's going to lead to the demo. So now think about this. If we conceptualize, what we've gone over for almost the last hour here, we're coming to towards the tail end here, the best for last. Think about this. I created my Dream 100 list. Maybe it's only 25. Maybe it's 10. Maybe my Dream 100 list is a combination of people on my phone, some old friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, and maybe a few on Instagram. And now I'm messaging them and then I'm getting their phone number. That's fine. But it's the human element and the curiosity and the intent you have. So I put that list together. I now have my phone with new contacts. And now they invite me to an event, or I go to an event and I'm expanding. I now go to these events and I'm having more fun. Now I've gained some practice with my dream list. Now I'm more prepared to meet strangers or referrals. At that point, you now explore and go into other formal style events. And the question becomes, now what, John? I got all this. What do I got to do now? You have to ask them, would they be interested to learn more? Can I show you? I know this would be a perfect fit because I have others that I've helped with this. I would love to show you how this works. And they say, okay, sure. How long is it going to take? A minute and a half. And if you want more, we can keep going. But I just want to show you here. Go to this website, right? Give them the phone. Go to this website. Check this out and let them engage with your AI bot. So it's so important at this point that you've completed step 2. You have your AI chatbot website up. You've added some Q&A questions about your venture, your business, and how AI can help. So that way, when they go to your website, your AI chatbot website, they're able to press the button and ask questions to get answers. Because what we want to position is the automation and the automatic and the speed. If you have not yet done that, I really encourage you to get the help through our success. Let them walk you through it, because this is going to be so important as we get into day 4 and 5 and beyond, because they have to see it in action. If they don't see this in action, they don't believe it, and they can't visualize it and implement how it's going to be in their business. So now we've done this, we're able to demo. So John, they said yes. What do I do? Show them how the chat widget works, the AI receptionist, whatever you called it, show them. Make sure you're giving some valuable insight around how it applies to their industry, their business, because you've done the research already. Focus on understanding their needs. Maybe that, you've assumed that you know enough about their business. Maybe there's other challenges they're having. Bake those in based on their customers' experience. So, let's say, for example, you have, an insurance agent, and they say, look, I make phone calls. I ask people to go to my website to learn more. And then when they contact me back, I'm not available, or I can't get to them right away. Well, what are you doing to be, to be filling the gap on speed to their need? Speed to need is everything. And they may say, well, I'm calling them when I get a quick moment. Why don't you have a button on the bottom right that pops up and says, hey, I'm here to help you. What's your question? And it engages them to click that button. They jot their question down. That question now has an answer based on what you've trained it over time. And now they're engaging in a two-way conversation. And what you've collected on there is information, need, pain, and engage with them based on their need and the timeline they need it by. Because remember, once that person engages with your chat and they plug in their information and they're going back and forth, you're able to jump in, and you're also, if it's after hours, you're getting the information to respond back, and it's learning, and you're responding. And then most importantly here, making sure, as you're showing this, approach with with active listening so that way you can touch on what they want to see and hear. So important. And then you're going to get a round of applause from them because, like, all right, this is exactly what I needed. I'm excited. Where you've been. So as we're going into the demo portion of this, um, it's really important that you understand the businesses that you're reaching out to. So our Dream 100, our networking, the people in our phones, our contacts, we know enough about their business that we're building upon that knowledge. It's allowing us to now fill in those scenarios and situations. So we're building upon our mind what they're going to need as well. And now you're able to tell stories and tailor to their industry and use case. And that allows the excitement and engagement to continue. And customizing the demo really comes down to understanding their pain points. But remember, not everybody is as techy and savvy as you are. Remember, you might have started out really fast because you knew exactly what to do and you took instructions well, or maybe you were a little bit more learning curve because I don't do this, or I've never thought of this, or this is something totally brand new. You have to keep that in mind with them. So you want to treat it very basic and show how easy it is to use for their customer and for them, and highlight the simplicity in setup. Highlight that you're going to get a mobile app. You're going to be able to engage back. It's easy to train. It's easily to teach. You don't need to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars as if you would with an employee just dedicated to this function. And then tell that story, how it can help. And that becomes the exciting part because now they start to envision themselves using your AI, your reception feature and how it can help them grow their business. Of course, as you're showing them the demo, as they're experiencing, they're going to have tons of questions. I don't know if this works for me. What if this? What if that? You're not going to have answers to every bit and every question, but just be prepared to bring the positive end of it. If someone reaches out to you after hours and they have a question that the receptionist does not have a solid answer, the good news is that it'll give them a chance to request a call back. It'll give them an alternative of learning more information on a dedicated part of your website. But the most important part of this is that you'll be able to train it to be prepared for that for the next time. And that you providing those solutions and reassurance says, okay, of course it's going to be a learning curve like a new employee. They're not going to know everything, the first day of work. But if I give them the right foundation and what to do, they'll be just fine. And encouraging that interaction, hey, click there, or hey, try it for yourself. What are your thoughts? Ask it this question. They start to feel more comfortable with how it works. And comfortability creates a little bit more confidence as you evolve. So make sure that you're asking questions during the demo. Make sure you're getting their feedback. Do you think this will work for you? What are your thoughts on if we did this? Are you excited? Does this solve what you've been looking for? They're going to organically share their emotion, and that's where you know you're on the right path. And if they don't, it's okay. Ask them, do you know anyone else that might need this or could use this help? That's the power. I want to pause here because, we have an amazing audience here. We have years of experience watching. Paulson, you've been in the mix with this community for a long time. Could you share some insight about the demo, about our audience showing this to someone new as they're new?
Yeah, absolutely. Is my audio okay? I just had to recharge my microphone.
Yeah,
Um,
you're loud and clear.
we're good. Okay, cool. So some of you may be wondering, well, this seems like this is a little too basic for me, or maybe it's too elementary, but the reason why we're teaching this particular strategy of Dream 100, networking with your, people around you, is because blocking and tackling is what you should focus on in the beginning stages of your business. A lot of times when you listen to content, coaching programs, influencers, coaches. Like a lot of them teach some of the Hail Marys and like some of the exciting strategies that are out there. And if you have been part of our 3-day workshop, same thing applies. We teach a lot of the advanced strategies because there is a place for it. But in the beginning stages, if you are starting out, focus on the blocking and tackling. I mean, even when you have paid ads launch and a bunch of people working with you, it doesn't matter. You still should do the Dream 100 and continuously network. Now, when you go to these networking events, it's really important that you don't waste time convincing people what you do for them, what you can do for them. Like you're not there to drop your offers. Like you're not, don't go into like a sales pitch when you're meeting with these people. The most important thing is to get their contact info, right? Hey, Ethan, I notice that you are in the plumbing industry. Would love to just meet with you later. I've got a couple of questions for you. Can I get your business card or information? I want to run a couple of things by you. And matter of fact, I'm in the early stages of starting a software company for the plumbing space, and I think it might be something that I want to run by you. But I'll follow up with you. So it's like very casual. You have some sort of a note that you provided them that what it's potentially about. And the key is to walk out of there with any event, walk out of there with as many contact numbers as you possibly can, because the actual magic is in the follow-up. It's the next couple of days of what happens where you can stand on that interaction. Because now all of a sudden, you've taken like a cold audience and you converted them to a warm audience. What do you think you can do if you continuously went to these networking events, continuously built out Dream 100 list every single week? Because honestly, calling 100 people, you can do that in one day. It doesn't take much. When I was doing my own sales with my own agency, I was pounding the phones, right? So it doesn't, going through 100 contact lists is not a lot. So I think the key here is to remember that you are intentionally blocking and tackling. You're not quarterbacking Hail Marys and deep throws. You're just really focused on getting the fundamental basis going. And the key here is to remember the goal is to get you to your first paying or second paying customer, because once that revenue comes in, you can decide how to reinvest that back into paid ads, how to build up a reputation for affiliate marketing. Like you can build that out. And obviously, results may vary. I'm not implying that you're going to get anything financially out of these things that we're teaching, but I totally, totally believe in what I'm telling you because me and JB, we've built our agencies in the past, and that's why we're sharing from our own experiences. Dream 100 is a really big deal. Being able to network is a really big deal because when you run paid ads in a local community and everybody kind of knows you in that area at that point because you've been in front of those people at these events, then you'll see people interacting online in a much more easier way. Now, just to get a quick temperature check, give me a yes in the chat if you want me to show you one more cool trick in how to get in front of customers. And JB, I'm going to share my screen here if I have enough yeses. Give me a yes in the chat if you want me to share one more cool trick in how to get in front of customers. We've taught on what to say once they're in front of you and also shared notes on how to close deals with the demo. But give me a yes in the chat if you want me to show you one more trick. Okay, so let me share my screen. And this, I don't think this is part of every account, but if you go into the high level platform and on the left sided menu, there's a thing called prospecting. I pulled up different browsers so you can see so it doesn't take too long. And what I did was type in bakery near me. Anybody else have a sweet tooth like I do? I mean, you give me some zebra cakes or some Twinkies, man, you're gonna melt my heart. Okay, I'm a two Taurus at heart. But anyways, my sweet tooth told me to search for a bakery near me just for fun. Now, if you look at this particular map, I feel like it's set up for Memphis, Tennessee or something. Ignore that. But either way, you can search wherever you want to search. Now, you'll see this list, and there's a percentage here, conversion rate. Pay attention to that percentage. Why? Because this is the percentage high level systems are telling you as the marketing service provider of what kind of odds you have in closing the deal, right? So when I look at this, out of all these four lists, okay, this one says Los Reyes Bakery. It's a 62% more likely. How does the system know that? It knows that because we know that this business owner never claimed their GMB profile or Google My Business profile. They never claimed it. And they're in the catering restaurant space and they don't have a Google My Business profile. WordPress, they don't have a WordPress. They have average rating and they have lower rating than most people at those levels, right? So this is the system is telling you here, obviously reach out to every single one of them. But the system is telling you more than likely what the odds are in your favor in closing those deals. So here, the first one I would reach out to is Los Reyes. The second one is going to be this one, La Baguette. The next one is probably Primus, and the next one is Butterific. That's a pretty funny name. But anyways, this tells you whether they have online assets claimed or not. Now, when you click on this, here's the window that it will take you. This is all inside of HighLevel, by the way. Okay, so this is a prospecting tool that's inside of HighLevel that allows you to get in front of cold traffic. Everything we taught so far is around warm traffic, but I just wanted to share at least one cold system so that way, in case if you don't want to build out network or do Dream 100 and you're adamant about doing something cold, this is what it would look like. So um, once you click on one of these addresses or profiles, the next window that you will see is this. Okay, I clicked on Primus just for fun earlier, and this is what the system told me, right? GPB claim status, they don't reply to reviews. Isn't that interesting? It seems like they have only replied to 24% of the last 50 reviews, meaning 75%, nobody even said anything to the people that left reviews. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, nobody's even interacting, right? Then you have a chat widget on the website. Obviously not. They don't have a chat widget on the website. So the system went through the business's website and scraped it and recognized that they don't have an AI chat system. So now when you go into this conversation, you have some ammo. You're like, you know what? I've got a doctor's report of your health score, my friend, and here's what I want to show you. You don't have a website that's stable, you don't have a chat widget that's stable. It seems like you don't reply to reviews often. The only thing you have is this particular one, they have GMB profile claim and they have a text enable business number. That means you can probably automate. If this says no, they have probably a landline. Another reason to get in front of them, right? Because they're obviously not texting anybody in their business if that's the case, or they're using their cell phone numbers. So as soon as that happens, you can find the report on this business, and then I can click on export PDF. I clicked on export PDF, and this is what it shoots out. Now you may notice this is bare bones. This is very much like the meat and potatoes of the actual condition of the business. Now here's what I recommend. Um, there's a bunch of like it just basically ammos all of it together. But here's what I recommend. I recommend you getting like a PDF editor, putting a nice, beautiful cover photo in front of it, and just simply sending it out to them and just saying, "Hey, listen, I'm in your local area or I saw your business online and I just wanted to add value to you. Here's what it looks like. I put together a report for your online health score. And then imagine if you send out 50 of those PDF reports every single week. Where do you think your prospecting pipeline is going to be? Does that help everybody? I just wanted to add one little nugget on using the prospecting feature inside of HighLevel. Remember, that's designed for cold traffic. You're not going to convert that easy with cold traffic. They don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you, right? It's just not there yet. That relationship is not built out there. But I think doing JB's strategies of Dream 100 as well as the chambers and events on top of the cold, you do this at scale, popcorn's gonna start popping, and you're not gonna see any sales for a while. I promise you, nothing's gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, one weekend, pop, 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 like it just like Dude, I have no idea why three people said yes to me because there's an active sales cycle, and we teach this in other programs. It takes about 45, 60 days often to close a marketing client. I think with SaaS, it's a little shorter, but I don't have full data on that. My assumption is that it'll be shorter than a marketing service sales cycle, but you should feel really confident with HighLevel in your hands to be able to go cold prospecting and then, implement some of JB's strategies here to get blocking and tackling going. We're not trying to set up, $1,000 a day paid ad strategy tomorrow. We're not trying to tell you go run, 2,000 cold emails a day. If you want to do any of that, go to the workshop. We have the 3-day workshops where we share advanced strategies, doing automated webinars, paid ads, influencer marketing, affiliate marketing. There is a workshop almost every single month with a very, very advanced strategies, but do not get distracted by those strategies. Focus on blocking and tackling in the 5-day challenge. JB, I think those are the notes that I wanted to share. I'm just
Absolutely.
giving, yeah, go for it.
It's the seasoning, right? You have a great meal, and if you don't add a little seasoning to it, it's just like any other meal, man. The seasoning, the labor behind making that meal is so important. And think about this, that, let's say, you do reach out to someone on your Dream 100 list. Well, what do you got for me? I'm going to give you some time. What do you got for me? You can leverage the prospecting tool by typing in their business, using that as the foundation for your research, and then using that as a show and tell and saying, look what I put together for you. And that just puts the icing on the cake. Now, you'll want to tell them there's a lot of things that anyone could always do better. I don't want this to, be only a resource for you on what the future looks like. And then there's, okay, no problem. So what do you got? Like, what's new, man? And you bring it back to like that seesaw, personal, friendly, engaging. How can I help? What do you got going on? Like business talk. Like I used to always say when I used to go to these networking events, um, really right before when the pandemic happened, there was, I was at networking events all the time. That was my easiest way to get customers because people like me for me. They enjoyed my energy. They enjoyed that I reached out to them. I made them feel special. We made friends, and I would call them business owner friends. I started changing my relationships with people that I know, from old high school buddies and gals and college friends and just neighbors to business owner friends. We had different conversations. We had different problems, but the concept was I need someone to listen and give me some advice. And man, that made a difference. And yes, as a byproduct to that, I made well because of it. I got a lot of referrals. I got to sign up new customers, and I was able to nurture them and grow. So I want to share with you that there's a place for everything. The tools, the strategy, the action on your end is so required for it all. And then bringing it all together is the final product. I wanted to share with you all as we start, wrapping up here and getting into a Q&A in a little bit here. The demo, we spoke about the demo from a theory perspective, a strategy perspective. Well, how does that look like on a mobile phone, right? Because let's think about this. Let's pretend we're at a networking event, or we're at a seminar, or at a mastermind, or just, with other like-minded people. And the conversation comes up. You either listen in or they ask you and they say, what do you got? Show me what you got. The person that can't show what they have lost credibility. The person that doesn't know how to show it smoothly lost credibility. And nobody wants to be with someone that lost credibility off of what they confidently said. So what I put together here for you to see was, this is what it looks like on the mobile phone. So let's pretend I see you, Carmen. Your name that popped up here, Carmen. I meet you. Hey, Carmen, what do you got going on? What kind of business do you have? We have a nice, great conversation. And Carmen says to me, John, tell me about you, what you got happening. Oh my gosh, I'd love to show it to you. I give her the phone. She sees this on her phone. It's my website within HighLevel. It's got a little bit of what I do. The bottom right popped up, and I'm the bullet points are speaking to what I'm in the back of my head thinking that we need, that she needs. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, this makes sense. I'm just skimming through it. I'm just skimming. And then I say, okay, let me press the button. And now this pops up. Obviously, this I've been using this here, but let's just pretend it popped up fresh. Um, how does this work? And
Now, by the way, JB, this is all free for them, right?
it's all free. And I know we have some new attendees that have joined us. This is all free.
So this
All
is
this.
part of the collaterals of the 5-day challenge. When you log into the online course, you can download a free website that our team put together. And this web chat that we're demoing is part of that. And you can customize it, play with it. If you go to aichatbot.gohighlevel.com, that's a domain that we also set up for you guys and gals. So just feel free to change it and move through it and kind of get comfortable in it,
Yep.
because you're going to have to kind of do some of these demos once in a while. We talked about workflows, and I promised you yesterday, if you felt like yesterday was confusing or intimidating, I recommend you going through the online course, follow step by step, because really yesterday we focused on providing a lot of context and a lot of additional notes
Mhm.
versus you being able to just go through it pretty smoothly. So I recommend for the setup day, day two items, go through the online course. It should be in your university. If it's not there, you should be able to talk to a live agent and make sure that's turned on for you and enabled. But John, JB, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so I showed the mobile version. This is like a mobile preview that I had shared. So I
Okay.
had to open up an incognito. I've been playing with this all day, every day. So it kind of knows who I am already. I have to like trick it a little bit here, because it's going to keep the log, which is nice. But let's just pretend here, back to what I was saying. We have the mobile version. Carmen's looking at it, and now she's asking questions. And now this, sounds human-like. It sounds professional. Um, I am interested in, yes, I have a real estate business, right? And these are just questions, and maybe these wouldn't be the same questions that Karma would ask, but it's the point of engagement. Perfect. Let's get the ball rolling. What's your email? Got it. And like my friends, depending on, regardless of your experience or your thought process on this, the fact that someone's responding back right away so fast has got to be amazing, and it's got to be great for business. Um, right? And now let's just see what happens here. This is the front end of the demo. So, basically, you want that person to answer some of these questions, to engage with it, so that way, when you show them the back end of it, they see how it's going to make an impact in their business. So as you see through this log here, it's a very smooth conversation. It's not sharing a sales pitch. It's not sharing, irrelevant information. It's agreeing and kind of walking them through the process. Are you ready to book an appointment? Yes, but I'm only available tomorrow at 2 p.m.
And JB, you can simply turn on a chat system like this on anybody's website with a simple code or a toggle button, right? It's pretty easy to install from what you were describing.
Yeah, yeah, yes, absolutely. So, there's a plugin, and there's a whole easy process to plug and play, whether it's a Go High Level website, a WordPress website, or any other brand website, you can go ahead and do it. 2:15. And the goal of this particular part is now it's saying to me, let's book you for tomorrow, like I wanted, April 18th. I said 2 o'clock, but it gave me some options within the hour, even though it was available. Great. You are booked for April 18th at 2:15.
Yeah. And then as you all kind of set this up, like the language on this messaging, right? I recommend you turning it into a very elementary language. Like if you go to the very first question, oh,
Oh,
sorry, JB.
oh, no worries. I
If
closed
you
out
if
that
you
window. I'll go back.
Yeah, if you go to like the language of it, you want to make sure your customers can talk to your customer in a very simplistic way. So like it needs to be casual language. It's like if you're too professional, it doesn't resonate as if like it's like a real person behind it. Obviously, there's not a real person behind it, but it's like you want it to be like a fun experience. Like education and entertainment is always the key to winning, right? And same thing applies here. Um, uh, you can be casual in the language, and that's what I've seen a lot of people do. And then, don't use technical terms, right? Remember, your customers don't know the words like chat widget, right? They don't know, words that are popular linguistically in the world of marketing. Like in our world, we say a lot of different jargon and things that doesn't necessarily resonate with our customers. So you want to ask your customers, hey, what are the common questions you get from your people that come to your business? Like, and that's what you're loading up into the education of the actual live agent, right? That's the key.
Absolutely. Yep, you hit it. You hit the nail. You hit it right on the nail here. And with that customer facing demo, this demo it was for maybe a marketer or freelancer, someone that's new to the digital citizen world. But as you build this out for your customer's customer, that's where that rapport discovery, what their customers go through, what their customers' pain is, that is going to be a great exercise for you guys to build a tighter relationship together, because now you're getting into the what's most important to their customer and their business. Now, what you could also show on the mobile version, whether you're at the networking event or at a trade show or just, out to dinner with friends briefly, you can show on the mobile version, the app will give you access to see all those conversations are coming in. So this is just a little bit, unorganized here because we've been getting a lot of messages, but there is, and we give you guidance on how to clean it up and process it and make it look good. But let's just see the amount of data that's coming in from this allows the bot, the reception tool, the AI executive assistant, your virtual pal, whatever you call it, to learn and grow. And you're able to show them, hey, look, what's nice about this is that you can program it to collect more information, name, phone number, email, before it gets started. You can offer it to be more organic, where they talk first, then you ask. You could book appointments. You can also, as you're doing this, have access to jumping in and having that live conversation as it's happening. And all of this feeds into the customer's database. So let's say email, phone number fills in here, it becomes a contact. And now you're building your database.
Yeah. I
So
think
powerful.
yeah, I think someone had asked earlier when we were sharing this, why should we not charge for the core offer when we're providing them additional features? Like, I think that's a big conversation because you could go charge a couple of hundred extra bucks for GMB management, mobile app reviews, and a couple of other things. In the grand scheme of things, I'm fully aware you can monetize. But after talking to almost 60,000 marketing agencies today, and I can tell you the biggest win you have to have with your prospect is usage, not revenue, right? Revenue is a side effect of the usage. So if you
Amen.
can get your prospect to use the thing that you're providing, meaning the tech stack that you're providing, you will win the long run. Otherwise, one, we led with one offer, which is AI chat. Then you're pivoting them to a new offer. If you're saying, hey, I got to charge you for mobile app, I got to charge you for reviews and everything else. So it feels like a little switchish, right? It's like baiting and switching in a sense. So we don't want to do that. So ultimately, getting the usage from them is the number one thing as a software company, as a software provider. And that's a shift, I think, from a mindset standpoint, you have to make. Because ideally, we know that marketing services have heavy churn. Like, no matter how great white glove service you provide, we know they will cancel on you. We just know that from data, we just know that from experience. Software, when you're selling software, it's like a utility bill. It's hard to cancel your electricity and water provider whether you're on vacation or not.
There is.
Right? So that's the way you look at operating systems and tech stack. We're going into the world of local business and saying, hey, we'll give you a tech stack. We'll consolidate your full-on sales and marketing activities, and let's start with the receptionist. Does that make sense? Now, of course, you can charge more later on once you build up case studies and all of that, but I'm just giving you a launch plan. Your launch plan is different than your scale plan. After you get to 25, 30 customers is when you should focus on your scale plan. Until then, your focus is getting your case studies, getting as many people in your beta, running and gunning and blocking and tech. I did a football reference earlier, but the idea is to just really focus on the basics at the beginning stages. No need to add the fancy widget that Sean's gonna come out with in a Loom video next week. Leave that stuff alone. Like everything else that HighLevel can do, like leave it all alone. I promise you. Focus on the AI chat system and get the customers, kind of coming into your business. Go ahead, JB. Were you going to say something?
We then we have new problems to solve. So, it'll be evergreen. Challenges, relationships, usage, cancellation, new customers. It will always be evergreen. Embrace it, have fun, enjoy it. This is the venture you've jumped into. You're going to grow, learn, and help others. And that's why all of this matters within different parts of your journey. This is just the foundation. You're going to build upon it every day. You may take part of our lesson, buy a course, buy a book, take a live training, whatever it is. You're going to have it back of your mind because the muscle memory will keep it fresh. And that being said, let's get into some homework and accountability because
I
that's
love that.
we
Yes, I
have
love
to, because I've been to so many seminars and trainings and courses, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm like, all right, great, sounds good. I'll get to it later. And then I don't get the muscles and the memory all moving together, and I don't get excited about it. They say when you're exercising or you go for a jog, it's always hard in the beginning, and then you learn to want more of it and feel great about it. So we're gonna take that same concept and apply it to what we're doing in our new venture, in our new software experience and journey. So today's homework has everything to do with building your business, building your relationships. And to my friends that don't want to sell this, but want to learn and go through it to help someone in their industry, in their family, help complement the family run business, a new business is starting, you'll be able to use this in any way, shape, or form and customize it to what you need it. But making a list of your potential prospects is priority number one. So in the homework, in the course, there's a PDF. You may use that. You can use a digitized version. You can use paper pen. Whatever you're most comfortable with is fine. But what's going to make it happen is most important. The next thing is to find a local in-person event, preferably. But I know we're all in different parts of the world and we all have different things going on. So maybe an online networking event might suit you. But just being part of like-minded people is where I want you to start. So find one. You have the list. Go ahead and jump in one. And then start sending out your initial outreach messages. Small, but mighty. Start with your most warmest, most excited potential folks that you're going to speak with. Maybe it's an uncle that started a business that you haven't spoken to in a couple of weeks. Maybe it's an old friend that you saw on Facebook that you have their number, but you just haven't reached out. Do a little bit of due diligence, go on their social media, go on their website, use what's available to the eyes, and go ahead and just say, hey, how you been? And wait. And then let the conversation, like a little bit of a roller coaster, go up and down in between. And if there's a little bit of loop-de-loops, I'm okay with that too. And then make sure you're practicing your sales conversation. Every day, I'm practicing my craft. You're practicing your craft. The crazy thing is you don't even realize it. It's just natural and organic because you're used to speaking and doing and getting things going. Practice it, whether it's in the mirror, whether it's recording yourself, whether it's with a loved one. Practice that sales conversation, that demo, that business owner friendship conversation. Jot down some bullet points of some of your go-to maybe questions and statements. Be prepared, and then evolve. It will happen organically as long as you practice. Some of the best athletes go back to their practice. That's what gets them to their championships. It's never what they do random. It's what they've been practicing over and over and over. And my friends, it's so important. It's so important that you know that the live is a foundation to the membership course and the community. All three bring everything together like the perfect recipe. Now, I know we do have several folks, hundreds of folks that are brand new, thousands that are brand new. And we want to just set a reminder that if you're struggling and you need additional assistance, you have options. The speakwith.us success/success gets you an agent on a Zoom meeting. We'll give you some FAQs as needed. You have everything you need to help you here hands-on. You have our Facebook group, which with like-minded professionals and challengers that may help you, but they may not know everything you need help with. And then we have our help guide, wealth of information. I encourage you to jump on all three, but most importantly, when in doubt, go to speakwith.us/success. It will be everything you need, I do promise you. Paulson, before we wrap up here, did you have any closing remarks that you wanted to share?
No, I'm excited because I mean there's a private Facebook group for the challenge, just FYI in case if you missed that. And there's a ton of people in there engaging and a lot of people raising their hands saying, "Hey, I want an accountability partner." And we're seeing that across all channels. So if you are someone that is still haven't been matched up with an accountability partner, go in there, share your story. There's a ton of people in there that's saying, "Hey, I want to learn more about it. I want to connect with somebody in UK because I'm there, somebody in Australia because I'm close by, someone in Texas." Like you see a ton of people engaging in there, and I think that's the coolest part because now we're
Mm.
building a culture around the challenge. You're not alone in entrepreneurship. So I'm excited to see more faces, more videos, more selfies, more stories that people are because if you can't get let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you
Uh-oh,
something.
we're gonna spit it, man. Let's
If
go.
you I'm gonna tell everybody how it is. If you cannot get comfortable just sharing with fellow marketers, fellow digital citizens about your story that you already know we're all part of the high level family. If you're not comfortable just sharing with us and just kind of getting involved with this group, it's gonna be kind of hard going to a cold audience that don't know anything about you and don't make sense of what your offer is yet. It's gonna be really difficult to put your story out there. So even if you don't want an accountability partner, like I would say, take advantage of the group, introduce yourself, jump in. I'm expecting hundreds of posts today and selfies of people that already started their homework and connecting. So it's pretty cool seeing that. So take advantage of it. So JB, let's go ahead and do a Q&A. I know we have like 7 minutes left, so let's
Okay.
do rapid fire Q&A. For those of you that have a burning question, type in the word question or letter Q and tell us what the question is, so that way I can differentiate it from the comments versus questions. And then JB, I'll alley-oop these questions over to you and I'll pick them out, so that way we're not answering repeat questions.
Okay.
Let's see. People are saying, "Hey, my Facebook group access is pending. Could you let me know when I can get in?"
We have an amazing community team. They're going through each of your accounts, your requests, just confirming that you are part of the challenge. Please bear with them, and they will get you in here every day. We're getting hundreds and hundreds in. You are next, I promise. Just make sure that you filled in all the fields, though. Your relationship number, your email, and accepting the terms and conditions. It's the only way you get in. This is exclusive to our folks in the challenge at the moment.
I love it. Someone's asking, "Hey, I know you showed there was a website that your team has built out. How do I find that? How do I install that?"
Oh my goodness. So two ways. It's under the day two setup of the membership course. And it's under the website setup section there. And then if you are a little bit more experienced or you want to just jump in, you can go into HighLevel and then click on the websites tab. And then you can see on the top website and it'll have it listed there for you. But I
Yeah, and
recommend going to day two setup. because there's some installations of things that you need to have before getting to the website.
And all of it is inside a snapshot.
Yes, it's in the side the snapshot. I think it's like four or five step in the process. It's in the proper order, but yes, it's all in there, and you need to go through each step.
Okay. Does live chat and SMS work together? Do I need SMS or should I bake it all together? Like, what's the relationship between SMS and regular live chat?
This particular challenge, SMS requires a authentication process, validation process. We're skipping that in the chat bot. We're going live chat only, so that way you could use it immediately. But if you go through the course under the phone number section of the training under day 2, it'll show you how to validate your number and get the SMS up and running. Because yes, in the future, that will help tremendously.
Got it. Is there a fee for the live chat? Like, is there a cost of usage?
Yes. So in the live chat training, it'll go over 0.02 cents per message. So that way you're aware that's what it's going to cost you. And then you can upsell that monthly charge, whether it's 97, 197 or more to your customer. And you can charge them additional usage fees, but there's a 0.02 cents that it'll cost you. There's more in the training part of it.
Got it. Is there a limit on how many conversations the AI bot can do at a time?
You can set a limit. So if you want to max it out at 10, 20, 100, and so on and so forth, you can. And that's typically done to avoid any spammy or any bad intent where someone will just, bomb you with thousands of questions and you get charged, per, message. It prevents that.
Good to know. Um, and is it 0.02 cents or is it 2 cents?
2 cents.
Okay, so it's 2 pennies.
Yes.
Two Abraham Lincolns. Okay, cool. Um, let's see here. Do you charge a setup fee? If so, how much? So we shared our idea of the setup fee. Um, and I think that graph would be helpful with the gateway offer versus core offer versus expansion. Can you share your philosophy on pricing one more time, real quick? Do you recommend a setup fee? Do you do money back guarantees? What do you recommend, JB?
It depends on the industry you're working on, the confidence, how quick you want to, learn, how much experience you have. Remember, the more you charge up front, the more they're going to hold you accountable. As well as, there's just so much different ways to look at it. I think going through the beta way and saying, hey, look, if I'm brand new, let me get you started on our beta. The beta is $97 per month or $197 a month. There's no contract, and it'll help you and it'll help us and we can make it work together. There's different ways to kind of have that authentic conversation, but there's no set in stone of what you should or shouldn't do.
Got it. Finesse is asking, what is the correct offer for social media management and pricing? I think the first question is, when is the right time to offer social media package on top of the AI chat? Like, what are your thoughts on that, and how do we move forward if we have services?
For this challenge, we want to get them with this offer first, get them comfortable and confident with your ability and the results they're going to expect. And then you can start turning on features within their platform. Maybe you turn on the social planner and you give them a trial of the social planner. And then you add on a fee for the social planner. You have that ability and freedom to do so. But I think it also comes down to what their expectation is of social media management, because there are, organic content, there's videos, there's so many different ways. So becoming familiar with the offers and what's out there is also important.
Okay. Someone's asking, hey, JB, can I do this part-time or does this have to be full-time?
Yeah, you could do this within your schedule as long as you set the right expectations with your customers and your beta users and those that you're serving. Because, if they're paying you a fee, they expect you to serve them. So yes, you could start out by learning part-time. You could start out by offering it to a small group part-time. And as you find the experience and the need, you can go full-time.
Yep.
It's what your calling is.
Yeah. Nikki is asking, if a business owner takes over the AI chat via the app, will the AI still continue with the conversation or does it stop?
Such a great question. And that's in the settings part. So when you go into settings, you can set the buffer up of when it interrupts, when it jumps in, when it stops. But yes, if you leave it with auto responding, it'll keep responding. But also it'll give like a 10-second, it'll stop. So there are custom options to make sure that it doesn't interrupt or confuse.
Got it. The prospecting function that Paulson shared, is that at the agency level and higher? Because I don't have it in my account. So I do think it is the 297 and up. Maybe Ethan or someone else can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think you have to be at least at the 297 agency level. Is that right, JB?
I know we've made a bunch of updates. I don't have the exact answer on that one.
Okay.
But I do know that if you go to the help guide and you type in prospecting tool, it'll give you an in-depth how to and where to answer
Okay.
to help you.
Do you have an onboarding recording to model as a sample? Maybe we should talk about
Oh, you
what we're
beat me
gonna.
to it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. So we have next week, I have Andy and Nuno. I'm originally from New Jersey, and they're from New Jersey too. And they are experts in onboarding. These gentlemen are amazing, and it's not because they're from New Jersey. It's because they've worked with some amazing members of our community to help build their communities and service their customers. We're doing a 3-day workshop next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where we're going to go in depth on onboarding, processes, SOPs, everything you need to know that'll fill that next step up for this challenge. So imagine you go through the challenge, you get your AI bot going, your receptionist tool, you get your website up, and now you get onboarding training
Yeah.
next week.
And
Woo!
by the way,
Great question.
that's a separate training that has nothing to do with the challenge. That's an additional thing that we do. We do workshops almost every other
Oh,
week. It happened to be around onboarding. So great question.
yes.
Andy and Nuno, they've onboarded over 500 or 600 clients, and they do it pretty smoothly. So we're gonna learn from them just as much as you are. So we're excited for that.
Yes.
But for the purposes of the challenge, we will talk about client onboarding in the challenge as well. So maybe tomorrow or Friday, when is the content around onboarding, JB, for the
I
challenge?
said next
Yeah, for
week.
the Mhm.
You got me on that one there. Tomorrow, we're doing our fulfillment training as well.
Correct. Yeah,
Tomorrow is day 4 fulfillment. So we'll be going over some foundational items of it, but
yeah.
that workshop is going to give a next layer to that one.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Do we need a reseller certificate or a business license for each state that we use this in? Yeah, you have to have a registered business in the state that you're in, but because this is a digital business, you can take on clients in almost any state and every state, and even internationally, as long as you understand you have a compliance person next to you on how to take care of your finances and taxes and regulations and all of that, and you don't want to overpromise things either, right? So, yeah,
If I
answer is yes. Go ahead.
if I could add on to that, so the question that's popped up in the group often in the past is how do I collect money, right? How do I like make this a transaction? Within HighLevel, there's the payments section. And within the payments section, you can send an invoice. You could accept a payment, text to pay. You can connect it to your payment processor. So here's something for you to consider doing. Jumping into the help guide, type in payment, and that'll give you all the guide on how to accept payments and how to connect everything. From a business operation, depends on your state, depends on the country you're in. There are regulations. Um, so you want to make sure you're following those rules within your local jurisdictions. But if you're doing betas and you're getting started, you don't need to have like a full corporation. You just have to make sure you're following your local rules. Um,
Yeah.
that's what's most important.
Awesome. And those of you that are asking, hey, where's the link to next week's event with a 3-day workshop? If you go to any of our social channels as of today, you'll see a post with Andy Nuno and I think JB on there as well. You can sign up. It's all free. We do a ton of events in general, but either way, JB, fantastic day 3 on sales and prospecting. What can we expect tomorrow? And we can close out.
Yeah, one of our audience members shared it. It's going to be around fulfillment, right? It's going to be around bringing this together and now giving our customers the wow experience, and knowing how to navigate through the agency view. How do we set the permissions, the sub account view as their customer, and then the onboarding snapshot portion with, sending out emails and communicating and keeping our customer up to date of what's going on. Because we know that that's where the relationship maintains itself through communicating. So we have a fun, packed, filled day tomorrow. Again, it won't be everything you need to know, but it'll be enough to give you the foundation to continue to learn and go.
Awesome. Well, have a good rest of your afternoon, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock EST. That's New York time for those of you that are international. Same thing. We're going to go over fulfillment tomorrow. And then on Friday, we're going to talk about how to upsell and ascend the offers into expansions and stuff like that. And remember, there is a online course. This event that you're watching is the live component to the online course. Most importantly, go through the online course, go through day two, especially, and set up this whole thing. I think it's less than 15, 20 minutes long total. So it's like a mini course on steroids, if you ask me. But either way, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.